A real and authentic day, beloved vlog aficionados, in a continuous effort to provide varied and assorted topics that will suffice your moment. I am very thankful of your loyalty to our vlog. Our vlog is called JERVIN Eagle Viewpoints. This is Prospero Gonzaga Jr., known to my students as Sir Noy, and is your primary content provider. This very moment, let us open the catalyst of our faith, which is the Bible. Well, come and open it with me now in the third book of John 1, verse 4. It says, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children are walking in the truth. Such a big word, walking in the truth. The greatest issue that confronts our nation now, and maybe even the international fora, second to the emergence of coronavirus disease 2019 that we call COVID-19, is the widely circulated and publicized fake news. The problem with this, or with fake news, is our bastion of truth and reliable sources are now the greatest servers of fake news. How did this happen? Why? Because these are the multimedia programs such as the news magazines, and analysis programs, and even print media, including the broadsheet and the tabloids. They are all now contributing also to the proliferation of fake news. Well, before going any farther, dear vlogmates, let us first define and explain how one news becomes a fake news. Fake news is simply defined as news that has no exact truth. Therefore, news that are 100% wrong, news that are 99% wrong and 1% right, news that are 99% right and 1% wrong are all fake news. Truth is always 100%. Let me repeat that one. Truth is always 100%. It cannot be a majority. It cannot be a 99%. It should always be a 100%. If a fraction of the news is not true, even a very few percentages of it is wrong, it is already considered very wrong. Why? There is no truth that mixes with wrong. The first fake news was given in the Garden of Eden by the author of the fake news himself, the devil. Instead of telling the truth that when you pick of the fruit, you will be punished for you have sinned against the command and law of God, the devil pointed out that you will become more wise and your basic knowledge will increase. Imagine, who among us do not want to have an increased knowledge or a wiser disposition? Now the offer is too much to neglect. These are actually things that you have already have it with you when God created you. Knowledge is entered to you. Wisdom can be taken if you will do things favorable to the intellect of God. So, that in itself is a false interpretation of God's original plan. So the devil used fake news to distort the plan of God. That is the first fake news ever told in the history of mankind. Now, vlogmates, there are three ways of doing fake news. Number one, when you purposely tell a wrong news. Number two, when you tell partly the truth in the news that you expounded. And number three, when you pass a news to others without confirming if the news is right or wrong. So these are the three avenues of fake news. Again, let me repeat this because this is very important. There are three ways of doing fake news. Number one, when you are purposely telling a wrong news. Number two, when you tell partly of the truth in the news that you convey. And number three, when you pass a news to others without confirming if the news is right or wrong. So these are the three basic instances of fake news. It's very important that we have to know this one. Now let us take up the first kind of fake news, purposely telling a wrong news. Of all the fake news that is being done in today's media, this is the most glaring and obvious. We will surely notice this because the facts are really wrong and the events are not logically spelled according to a philosophical normality. Now let us give an example for this. Here is an example that will expound this point. Bacolod is still COVID-free as of the moment, and all cases that are reported are not yet confirmed and are just political attacks on the great city of smiles, Bacolod City. Now, is something wrong with the report? Yes, the report is a fake news. That is a wrong report because Bacolod City already let out a press conference that we have already 6 cases confirmed with test resulting positive from an RITM confirmation, which is our base confirmation in Manila. That means this news is automatically and originally wrong even before it was reported. That is why it is glaring and very obvious. Now let us consider the second type of fake news, the partly right news. This is the most dangerous kind of fake news because this is a kind of news that when you will use your hearing sense only, it sounds right, but part of it is actually wrong. Now for a person like you and me who are busy, we do not have all the time in the world to analyze and filter news. So basically, we only hear news. In the parlance of the academic course, Philosophy and Logic, we call this as fallacies. Again, the term is fallacies. These are wrongs buried carefully in truth to make it look believable. Okay? Sometimes there's really an intent to bury simple and few truths in a very, very wrong news. Let us give an example for this. Vlog aficionados. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. For our morning news, Bacolod City has already 6 cases of COVID-positive patients, and all of them are now being treated in the regional hospital, being the premier government hospital in the city. Now, that is a news clip. Is anything wrong with the clip? Of course, if you're just hearing it, it may sound really true and it may sound really completely factual. Well, that is a fake news. That is a wrong news. The news is right. The figure is 6. The news is right. COVID positive test results. The news is right. The city of Bacolod. But the news was wrong because not all cases is in the regional hospital. In fact, there are cases in all hospitals with only Adventist Medical Center Bacolod honestly disclosing their COVID count. There are at least 3 more private hospitals, for whatever reasons, opted not to disclose that they are also caring for COVID-positive patients. Dear vloggers, the news was almost right. We may not have even noticed it was wrong. but the inclusion of a very small but dangerous fact makes the news wrong. If you will really study or analyze the news, you will find out that there are inclusions of facts that are not proven, or shall we say twisted facts. That is why the second kind of fake news will be very dangerous, because people who do this do not only accidentally tell something wrong, but there is really the intent of letting a wrong look right. And this is very, very dangerous and outrageous. Now let us consider the third and the last fake news. This is reposting wrong or unproven news to others or to a system. This is more of a technological fake news. The problem with this is we read something from the internet, find it to be of human interest, but we failed to do due diligence to prove if the item is right or wrong. We just copy-pasted or linked it right away to all the groups and people we want this news to reach. Now here is the problem. Remember, in this fake news delivery, the one who forwarded the news may not necessarily believe or claim the news to be true or correct, because in the first place, it only interested him or her. But the greater danger is the moment we forwarded an article or a news item to others, people who will receive it may take it as a news. Not because they want to believe the news, but rather they believe it because you are their good friend. You are a professional. You are an educator. You are a medically graduated individual, or in short, persons they believe and trust. Now, this is now the greatest danger here. When we forward something and other people don't take the news as news, but rather go with the trust and confidence that they have for the person who forwarded that news. So the item which was only interesting to the person who reads it, when he forwards it to others, it is already accepted as a legitimate news. That is the greatest fake news in that point of analysis. Now, this is what we call technological fake news, because most of the time it proliferates in the internet system. Let us give an example for this. I am teaching some subjects in the School of Nursing because I am also a nurse teaching in the general education and social sciences area of our school. Now, one day, I was reading an article from the internet, and I found one article, of which it mentioned that eating kugon grass, come again? Kugon grass can help in the protection of one person for the COVID contamination. Imagine how weird that news can be. Eating kugon grass, you will be protected from COVID virus. So because I liked the news, I forwarded this to the group of my students or even my fellow teachers. I did not even know if the news is right. I did not even do due diligence to know if this is credible. Now, because I am a nurse, and I am also respected in my career as a teacher, people who receive my unwarranted and unproved forwarded news article right away believed me and started eating kugon grasses in their homes. Imagine what a tragedy you have just made. This might sound funny, but this is one of the most disgusting and very real sources of fake news. Believe me, dear vloggers. If you notice, COVID has infiltrated lesser people compared to other great outbreaks in world history. However, COVID happened at the peak of technological domination. It happened in a time when a person will consider having a cell phone rather than having a complete 3-day meal. Meaning, technology fast became a natural need of man, in line with food and clothing. Thus, it was on this age that everybody sent messages, clippings, copy-pastings, forwarded links, reposting of news items, which created chaos, mass hysteria, and illogical fear to the people who are only at the end point of the ones reading what some people has reposted. An evidence to this, if you are really a good observer, is the sudden out of stocks of face masks. Imagine a face mask will go out of stock in a period of 3 days. But because the internet proliferated that face mask is good, it was consumed without thinking. Should people around the world become responsible enough with technology and have been careful of what they are feeding others, the COVID phenomenon could not have been an uncontrollable situation as it is right now in the world. Maybe it should have stopped as a sporadic epidemic and not a confirmed pandemic or a worldwide chaos. Vloggers and streaming friends, fake news kills people. Next time we want to just share something for fun or to just appear clever, even if we are not, let us first ask, will this create something that will confuse others? Or will it merit a second analysis on my part, which I called due diligence, to examine what I will be reposting or sharing? Why? Because the next person who might be placed in danger because of our technological irresponsibility might be our relatives and loved ones. Loved ones who are reading our post and believing us before thinking, because they love us and they care for us and they trust us. This has been an afternoon of great learning, dear vloggers. I hope and pray that this vlog may have educated and increased our awareness in the now terminal capacities of this fake news syndrome. Thank you very much for following this vlog site. This is still JERVIN Eagle Viewpoints under the content provider Bros Gonzaga Jr., known to my students as Sir Noy, saying, with great technology and ability comes great responsibility. And that's the way the eagle hooked the prey. Have a great day, everyone, until our next vlog.